So he's got major talks with China, the big vote on health care today, and President Obama also got high marks, both from Republicans and Democrats, for how he handled the Tucson tragedy. So we're at the two-year point in his presidency. What kind of leader has he been, and who will he be moving forward? Let's bring in our company, Donna, Gentile, O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, and Guy Benson. So let's take a look at his poll numbers, because they've been getting a lot better. If you look at the ABC News Washington Post poll, 54%, CNN 53, 50, 53. Donna, as you're looking at it, and he seems to be bouncing back, what's he doing right?
He's recalibrating. I think thematically that's what we're observing. Everything from the Wall Street Journal editorial that was printed yesterday, written by the president, in which he is committed to a whole series of issues that portend a different kind of orientation for business, which I think has been reflected here in this conversation about the state visit with China. I think recalibration is the order of the day.
Well, you know, some people would say he's pivoting, some people say he's balancing, but let's look at his record if we can, Guy. He passed health care, he compromised on the Bush tax cuts, he signed the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, but he hasn't closed Guantanamo Bay yet. Is he showing, in fact, that he's more moderate than Republicans would like to charge? Is he a pragmatist? What's your read?
I think that President Obama is clearly a man of the left, which does not make that a mutually exclusive statement from being a pragmatist. I think that he is pragmatic in the sense that he will do what is necessary to advance a leftward lurch of the country, and he's done so pretty effectively, I have to say. While I have strenuously opposed those policies, most of those that you just mentioned, he's done a good job of advancing them. But look, if you look at the poll that you just cited from the Washington Post, first of all, it only surveyed adults, not necessarily likely voters. And although his numbers have gone up, there's no doubt about that, he's still underwater on crucial issues like the economy and health care and the deficit. I think that now that Republicans have taken over the House, there's now a sense in the country that there is a check, maybe a break on this left-wing agenda, and people do like the president. His personal favorability ratings are always higher than his job approval. People might be thinking about giving him a second shot now that there's some balance in Washington.
And they were clearly moved by what they heard from him in Tucson. He really did, by most measures, people thought he did an extraordinary job there. Let me read what Peter Baker wrote in the New York Times. Quote, Obama plans to use the State of the Union to present himself as a fiscal conservative, but it will be a delicate balance for someone who believes government spending helped turn around the economy. Steve, what do you expect to hear from the president in the State of the Union?
Yeah, I mean, I really think that the tone of the next 2 years and really the next year of the Obama presidency is going to sort of be one of almost defensiveness, but sort of in a proactive way. Defense of what he's accomplished and what he's achieved in the last 2 years. And the Republicans are really going to give him an opportunity. We talked about this with health care earlier, where if it's just this sort of full frontal assault on health care, first with the repeal vote today, then potentially with, defunding it, maybe it's defunding Wall Street reform, another major achievement from last year that the Republicans have talked about defunding. If the Republicans really target these items and really go after them and really try to, to strangle them, financially, it gives Obama an opportunity to go out there and say, hey, wait a minute, I know the slogans may sound appealing and why we need to get rid of these, but look, Wall Street reform does this, healthcare reform, pre-existing conditions, all the sort of positive things. And I think, when you're taking it from that angle, it can be a much easier message to sell.
And Guy, is there a danger, frankly, for the Republicans when it seems like what they're trying to do is always pull back, and not move forward?
No, I don't think there's a danger, particularly on health care. Look, this notion...
Well, maybe not with their base, but when you look at the broader picture, again, the country is split, and when you look at some of the individual provisions of the health care law, it's sort of, I always liken it to, people say we need to cut spending, but when you ask them what spending you want them to cut, they don't want spending cut. So it seems to be a lot like that with health care. Overall, I think the Republican message has been effective, but when you get down to brass tacks, people don't want to repeal a big portion of this law.
Well, Rasmussen's poll out yesterday showed that 55% of the country does want to repeal it. And the idea that Democrats can somehow corral the messaging and harness that type of, personal anecdotes and sob stories, they did that for an entire year, and the bill never got any more popular.
Sob stories, that makes me feel a little uncomfortable, I have to say. People having health care problems. Anyway, Guy Benson, thank you. Donna, Gentile, O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, thanks to everybody.